Why would your own government design a currency that can be turned off, like a light switch? Here's the alarming truth. Central Bank Digital Currencies, CBDCs, are already being tested in over 130 countries right now. And the people pushing them hardest are calling them financial innovation. But what if the real innovation is the cage? Stay with me, because the next parts might be the most important financial education you've never received. The banking sector just reported a record $200 billion in quarterly profit. But while you were looking at those numbers, the central banks were busy building a light switch for your bank account. Imagine waking up on a Tuesday morning, heading to the gas station, and having your payment declined. Not because you're out of money, but because you've already reached your carbon limit for the month. Or worse, imagine your savings account coming with an expiration date, telling you that if you don't spend your hard-earned wealth by Friday, it simply vanishes into digital dust. This isn't a trailer for a dystopian Netflix series. This is the reality of CBDCs, Central Bank Digital Currencies. And as of early 2026, over 130 countries are already in the endgame of testing this technology. The people pushing this call it financial innovation. But at Future Freedom 360, we call it what it actually is: a digital cage with a programmable lock. Following 1980s advice to just trust the system in 2026 is like bringing a paper umbrella to a hurricane. You aren't being safe, you're just being an easy target. Today, we're exposing the 5 alarming traps of programmable money and showing you the only exit ramp that actually works. Don't click away, because once they flip the switch, there is no undo button for your freedom. Part 2. The Crypto Cloak. The Confusion Trap. Let's get one thing straight before the mainstream media confuses you even further. A CBDC is not Bitcoin. It is not government crypto, and it sure as hell isn't digital gold. The central banks are using modern vocabulary, words like blockchain, digital ledger, and efficiency, to make a 19th century control mechanism sound like a 21st century revolution. It's a classic bait and switch. They want you to think it's Bitcoin, but safer, because it's backed by the government. The reality check. Bitcoin is decentralized. No one person, no king, no president, and no bureaucrat can decide to turn off the Bitcoin network. It is the math of the universe. A CBDC is the polar opposite. It is centralized, programmable surveillance. It is money that lives inside a government-owned computer, where every single transaction you make can be monitored, flagged, restricted, or deleted in real time. In 2026, 134 countries representing 98% of global GDP are now piloting these systems. From the digital yuan to the digital euro, the infrastructure is being laid. If you think your digital dollar in a Chase or Wells Fargo app is the same thing, you're mistaken. That's a private bank's IOU. A CBDC is a direct tether between your wallet and the people who print the money. And that tether is actually a leash. Part 3. Trap number 1. The expiration date on your life. Why would a government need money that can be programmed with an expiration date? Think about the psychological warfare of that for a second. In several 2025 to 2026 pilots, we've seen digital tokens issued with a use it or lose it clause. The logic? To stimulate the economy. They want to force you to consume. This effectively destroys the concept of saving. If you can't save your money for 10 years to buy a house or start a business because the currency rots like a banana in the sun, you are no longer a citizen. You are a battery for the state's economic engine. This is the death of delayed gratification, which is the foundation of all civilization. They don't want you to have an emergency fund. They want you to have an emergency every time they decide you haven't spent enough. Part 4. Trap number 2. The carbon censorship. Programmable spending. But it gets darker. Because CBDCs are programmable, they can be restricted to certain categories of spending. Imagine a 2026 scenario where your digital wallet identifies that you've bought too much red meat this month, or you've driven too many miles, and suddenly your money stops working at the grocery store or the pump. This isn't conspiracy, it's the logical endpoint of the behavioral incentive mechanisms discussed in the World Economic Forum's 2026 Digital Finance Reports. They want to use your own wealth to nudge you into compliance with whatever policy is trending this week. Whether it's green energy, health mandates, or political donations, a CBDC gives the government a God mode over your lifestyle. Using a CBDC is like having a financial guardian who watches everything you eat and tells you when you're allowed to have dessert. Except the guardian is a faceless algorithm with no soul. Part 5. Trap number 3 and number 4. Total surveillance and social credit. Knowledge is control. Right now, if you buy a used lawnmower for $200 in cash, the IRS doesn't get an instant notification. In a CBDC world, every peer-to-peer transaction is a data point on a server. In 2026, the IRS reporting thresholds are already a battlefield, but a CBDC makes subpoenas obsolete. The government doesn't need to ask for your bank records. They are the bank. This creates a chilling effect. People stop buying certain books, attending certain rallies, or supporting certain causes, not because they are illegal, but because they fear being profiled by an algorithm. This leads directly to trap number 4, the social credit bridge. China's social credit system is already operational. Millions of people there have been blocked from high-speed trains or flights because of their behavioral score. The digital yuan integrates perfectly with this. In the West, they won't call it social credit. They'll call it ESG scores, or financial health ratings. But the result is the same. If you don't comply, you don't participate. It turns the entire economy into a pay-to-play game, where the rules are written by people you didn't vote for. Part 6. The fraud alert. Inclusion is the biggest lie. Let's talk about the fraud that isn't coming from a scammer in your DMs, but from the high tower architects of the new system. When you hear a central banker talk about financial inclusion, reach for your wallet. They claim CBDCs are to help the unbanked. But ask yourself, included into what? A system where you can be unpersoned with a keystroke? That's not inclusion. It's an efficient digital plantation. Red flags of CBDC propaganda. The crypto comparison. If they say it's like Bitcoin but stable, they are lying. Bitcoin is about decentralization. CBDCs are about hyper-centralization. Dismissal of privacy. If a politician tells you only criminals need privacy, they are gaslighting you. Financial privacy is a human right. It's the wall between your life and their control. The managed decline of cash. Watch for the war on physical cash. When the ATM vanishes, the cage door is being locked. Part 7. The Bitcoin exit, the only real armor. So how do we fight back? We don't do it by protesting with signs. We do it by opting out. In 2026, there is only one asset that provides a clean break from the CBDC trap: Bitcoin. Bitcoin is permissionless. You don't need to ask a bank to send it. Bitcoin is censorship resistant. No algorithm can freeze your self-custody wallet because you bought the wrong stake. Bitcoin is finite. While CBDCs allow governments to print their way out of debt at your expense, Bitcoin has a hard cap of 21 million. Actionable tip: your 2026 defense stack. Self-custody is non-negotiable. If your Bitcoin is on an exchange, it's still inside this system. Move it to a hardware wallet. If you don't own the keys, you don't own the exit ramp. Maintain a cash and metal buffer. Keep physical assets that function when the internet or your permission goes down. The 1% rule. Even if you're a skeptic, putting just 1 to 5% of your net worth into Bitcoin is the cheapest insurance policy against a light switch economy you will ever buy. Part 8. Conclusion. Choose your cage or your freedom. The 93% of people who retire broke are the ones who waited for the government to save them. The 7% who thrive are the ones who saw the cage being built and decided to walk out while the door was still open. CBDCs aren't about modernizing money. They are about managing people. You have a choice right now to be a battery or to be a sovereign individual. Comment challenge. I want to hear from you. Do you think the move to CBDCs is about innovation or total control? Drop your thoughts below. I read every single comment, and I want to see if America is still awake. If this video opened your eyes, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. At Future Freedom 360, we don't just report the news, we give you the weapons to win the financial war. And if you want to know how to actually move your wealth out of the system safely, watch our video on cold storage, why billionaires are going dark. The link is on your screen. Take the keys, take the power. See you in the next one.